Hello and welcome here again to the channel of Realize to Actualize. The subject is change, or rather the idea is change. Well, the change is something that comes from within, and as we change ourselves, we change this world. To reconnect to our essence, which is this being our nature. Everyone has one of those. And just sometimes it is difficult for us to be aware of that, or to even want to know about that, because we only look at what we want, we see what we want to see. When we only see what we want to see, we cannot be connected to that. I think it is because we have a tendency of comparing things outside of us to ourselves. We project our nature onto the nature of others. We then compare the nature of others to our own nature. What I'm suggesting here is that it is important to learn about each other's nature, to realize that everyone has a different nature, but we're also connected through this nature. Because this nature is all. We all come from nature. But what separates us from one another is what we have learned in this world. As we have become part of the system, we have become part of the machine that is about controlling and manipulating people to serve the system. The system which is corrupt. The system which is responsible for all the war and all the suffering around the globe. And ever since the beginning of time, we have been fighting a war against our oppressors, against those who control the masses. And I feel that we need to stop this war. And these personal wars that we fight are just a reflection of the greater wars we fight, nation between nation, nation and culture against another culture, because we are disconnected from this. We only project our own nature onto the nature of another culture, and then we wage war against that culture or against another person, because we do not understand their nature, or we want to change their nature, or the idea behind the new consciousness, or the new evolution of consciousness, is that in order to come together, we need to learn each other. We need that in order to come together, to unite as one. And there is no war to be fought. We do not need to struggle against an enemy outside of us, because there really is no enemy outside of us. Even though we could consider those who corrupt us, those who control the masses, the bankers, the politicians, the warmongers, the terrorists, we can look at that as the enemy. But we also need to understand that we have created them. We have created this enemy. And we cannot win the war against this enemy. All we can do is make peace with others, and that peace begins within ourselves, to make peace, to be at peace. That's how we can heal this world. That's how we can change this world, as we change ourselves. And that is the most difficult thing to do. That is the most difficult thing we could ever do, but also the most important. To change ourselves in terms of being more understanding, more kind, more patient, more human, more humane, more loving, more this, which is the tree of life, which connects all of us. And love includes everything and everyone. And so I believe it's time for us to send love to one another, or to reach each other in love. Instead of rejecting something that we do not want or do not like, because it's different from the way we are, or we consider this to be the problem, And so we have been engaged in all this war and all this fighting. Not just in the world, but it's also happening on a personal level. We all fight our own wars against people we perceive to be the problem, people we don't like, in relationships. Many times we love somebody, and then the other person does something we don't like, and then we leave that person, and we start arguing with that person and not liking this person anymore, and even sometimes hating on that person. But what we fail to do is look at ourselves. To change this world begins from within us. That's the point of the evolution in consciousness. Well, this is an evolution in consciousness, is to wake up, to realize our true essence, this essence, to realize one another, and to then actualize ourselves based upon that awareness. More than just an awareness, a new consciousness, something to learn, something to know. It is about something to live, something to put into practice. And this is where the change begins. This is where you change yourself as you're more connected to this, to your nature, to your authentic nature, your higher nature. Those we consider to be the enemy, or those we consider to be the problem, also have one of those. And we should not just reject that and say we don't want to have anything to do with that, we don't like that, we don't want that, we just fight against that. Rather, we should make peace. And that is the change that begins from within ourselves. And with this change, we change this world. I know we can help each other. Actually, I know we are here to help each other. It's just sometimes we make it more difficult for one another. Why is that? I guess we have learned that in this world. Because ultimately, everything we know, everything we are, is what we have learned. And the nature we have taken on, how we have evolved into our own nature, is a result of what we have learned. Not from a book, not from a teacher, not from anybody really, because nobody really can teach us that. Even though, of course, we have learned from books and we have learned from other people and we learn in school. But the learning I'm talking about here is more personal. It's about learning from experience, what we have learned from that, the things we went through in life, how we have experienced what happened to us. That has created our world, it has created our outlook, our philosophy, our habits, the way we think, the way we feel, and our nature is a result of what we have learned. And so I just would like to raise awareness to that, to really look at that for yourself. What have I learned? Who have I become? What is my nature? Who am I? And who do I want to be? How do I want to change? Really, the question about the meaning of life, if we really look at that, we find the answer to that. About the meaning to my own life. What is the meaning I want to give to my own life? And I've come to find actually for all human beings, it is to be more connected to that. To move beyond the socially conditioned self, the artificial self, the self which is just looking for change outside and just struggling and being stuck in the routine and nothing really changing. This is change. This is life. And this is love. We all are that. Our point here is to become more connected to that. And that is the new change that this world needs. That is becoming the change this world needs. And it starts within us. I hope we all can move towards that. I myself am trying to move towards that, and I realize how difficult it is. How I have been stuck in my own patterns, in my own way of doing things, or not doing things, and doing the same thing over and over and over, hoping for things to be better. But I also realize nothing is changing until I myself change. And so it would be nice to connect in this awareness, to connect with others who are also interested in how can we go about that? How can we change ourselves as we all are part of this, the tree of life? That is a new consciousness. That is a new revolution of this world, beginning with an evolution from within. To know one another, to know thyself, to know this, to be this.